Hey, it's Lawrence from the Performance Ranch, and today we're going to talk about training your upper body for the cyclist. I get a lot of questions about this over the last probably 15 years now of clients that come in and they basically ask, should I train my upper body? I'm afraid to get too big. And you know, that is a very good concern, because I know a lot of cyclists are afraid of adding extra mass up top. Well, just to clear that fallacy there, it's going to take a lot of exercise, a lot of food, and a lot of other stuff to gain a lot of size in your upper body. So don't be afraid of doing upper body work. You're going to see why, and you're going to see the benefits of strengthening your upper body are going to be probably more beneficial than maybe the extra whatever weight you gain from that training part of it. The main thing is keeping the joints healthy, keeping your posture, keeping your ability to hold position on your bike. It's also safety-wise, being able to hold on to those handlebars for such a long time. I know myself as a mountain biker, I started really thinking a lot about grip strength training about 2 years ago. I was doing a very long descent out in Tucson, and this descent was about 5,000 feet. It took about 3 hours to get down. So over there doing lemon drop, my hands gave out. Actually, my wrists and my forearms were completely done. I had to stop the ride, get on the highway, and actually ride the highway out. So if you've been watching our channel for a while, you've probably been seeing, you know, we use the foam roller a lot. It's definitely one of the easiest tools to have at home to give you relief with any pain that you may have. So the first thing we always start off with, we're gonna get into that lat. Okay? It's gonna be from your armpit down, this muscle through the side of the arm. Again, I just like to lay down, I make sure to try to get my whole body long. So I'm thinking the body as a system. I'm thinking from my fingertips all the way to the outside of my foot. So thinking about it as a system, the fascial line here, I'm gonna keep my whole body straight and long. I'm gonna extend my arm out, and I'm actually gonna roll into that armpit. I'm gonna roll back. So I'm thinking about creating stretch as well as creating that tension relief in the lat there. So that fascial line, that lateral line, we're just trying to work all through that system. And as you roll through it, you're gonna feel those hot spots. If you want, stay and hang out on that hot spot. You can even try to move your arm, try to extend it back, trying to get stretch on it. You can roll forward. So again, we're trying to give this relief anywhere from 30 seconds to about 60 seconds or so. You should start to feel a little better in there. Another one I like to do, I like to roll forward into the pec, into the chest. So I'll kind of show you from the angle. So I'll get on that roller and I'll get it right into the upper part of my shoulder and pec area. My hands lengthened out. I'm actually gonna move my arm. I can even bend it, add some range of motion to it. And just looking for that tenderness. And then we're gonna go down the system. Again, thinking about the lateral line still, I'm gonna get into the QL, which is right above the hip, right below the ribs. I'm gonna get right on that bone and just roll through it. If you want more information on the foam roller, we have a whole series on our channel. You can kind of look through the whole thing, but just for time's sake, that's kind of how we start, right? We're gonna work down that lat, down into the QL, we're gonna get into the pec, so we're just trying to give the upper body the relief that it needs. So after we're done there, now we're gonna move into some mobility work, okay? Again, I talked about it earlier, thinking about mobility in the wrist, thinking about it in that elbow and that shoulder. So we're gonna start from the floor, down in I call this the quadruped position, so we're gonna be down in here. And as we get down, we're thinking about the hands being able to get flat. We're thinking about a 90-degree angle at that wrist. So I'm gonna keep my my shoulders stacked right over my hands. I'm gonna keep my knees stacked right under my hips. And I'm gonna hold this position. And all I'm gonna do is just try to move my elbow from the beginning, trying to squeeze my shoulder blades together just to see if I have that range, which I do. So then I'm gonna add this extra little flavor here. I'm gonna actually turn my palm up. I'm gonna get the wrist bending backwards. I'm gonna put stress on that wrist. And I start further back so the angle isn't so steep. And then I'm just gonna try to roll the elbow. Same thing, trying to get a stretch. As you do this, you'll start to feel a stretch across the back of the forearm. And if you want more, you just keep moving it forward. And it's the same exact thing. So now I'm working on getting looser on that wrist, that forearm. Then when you really got it built up and you've been doing this for a while, you can start to do both at the same time. And again, the goal is keeping those palms opened up. I got weight forward in my wrists. There we go. So again, simple little wrist mobility, forearms, anything stretched out. You're probably gonna feel it really, really tight through the outside, which is very common. I've been doing this for a few years now, so definitely it's a lot easier to use. Then we move on to wrist and dexterity. Because what I think about it, if we're on that bike, what are we doing all the time? I know when I go ride, I think of my cockpit, you know, that area where the brakes, I got my gear shift, I have my seat dropper on one side. I'm just going through every checkpoint as I'm entering a corner, coming out of a corner, gonna climb a hill, whatever. I'm just trying to always moving my hands. So we gotta have that dexterity in our fingers. We gotta be able to feel it. And you gotta have strength to do that motion. So we're gonna work on just some wrist mobility and hand mobility. I'm gonna keep my elbows to the side of me here. I'm gonna work on my posture, and I'm gonna open my palms up, and I'm just gonna really think about stretching out that forearm, and that's why we did the quadruped wrist mobility first. So I'm gonna open up, and then I'm gonna get a big squeeze. I'm actually bring my pinky in, then my ring finger, then my middle finger, then the index and the thumb, and then as I'm gonna keep continuing that motion, I'm gonna bring it all the way in. So now I got a real big stretch across the back of the wrist. And I'm gonna do that in reverse. I'm gonna open up all the way, bring those fingers, and just do the same thing reverse. Right, do that about three to five times. Again, this is something easy to do. You can do this at your desk. You can do this before you ride, before you go to bed. At the same time, I'm thinking about posture, right, being tall. So again, that's an easy one to do at home. You know, simple, keep those hands nice and loose, because that is something you're gonna feel as you start to ride more. It's almost springtime, right? We're gonna be getting out there, so as we hit the trails, our bodies aren't used to that yet. So just give it some of that feedback that the body needs. So once we're done with mobility, we're gonna think about what else is needed for the upper body.